On the day of Pentecost, the Apostle Peter called to a crowd of people and he reminded them about Jesus being crucified and resurrected some 50 days earlier. When some people were asking about how they should respond, Peter simply told them to repent and be baptized. Years later, he was saying basically the same thing, but he was framing it in the idea of being a holy people. And all he was really telling people to do was to believe and follow Jesus. In those early years, the church was completely Jewish. On the day of Pentecost, there was no indication that we would be anything but Jewish. As this separation grew over the years, one of the Christian faith distinctives was that God isn't quite as interested in the religious rules as in following the Spirit of God, what the Spirit could do in us. One of those results that affects us to this very day is that after all the wrangling, and there was a lot of wrangling, Gentiles didn't have to become Jewish in order to follow Jesus. St. Paul would point out that if God could accept him, then God would accept anyone. That God would work in Paul, and God would work in you and I. There was this call to be a holy people, set apart from the rest of the world. But the call to holiness isn't so much about the rules as it is, first of all, being a joyful people, an Easter people. Only by being joyful can we truly be what we are intended to be. About 6 years ago in Crawfordsville, Indiana, the local paper, the Journal Review, ran what was called an open letter written by the man's name was John Van Nuys. He was the pastor of the Presbyterian Church. Now, given that the Journal Review didn't very often give space to a local pastor, was itself significant, and said, oh, we should read this. After some investigation and discussion with the priest at St. Bernard Catholic Church, Van Nuys found that there was validity to what amounted to be some persecution of Catholic youth in the public schools and on the buses. Van Nuys became aware of this because his own son became involved trying to intervene on someone else's behalf, someone who was being bullied. And the pastor's kid himself was told, oh, you're going to hell. It boiled down to religious bullying, not carried on by those who are non-religious, but by children of those who call themselves Christian. To such people, Peter wrote, love one another deeply from the heart. I want to contend that it's next to impossible for those living in joy to do things like that. Love and joy are the first two descriptions of the fruit of the Spirit. Occasionally someone will pop up who wants to go on a conspiracy tirade about being afraid of those who are non-religious or atheists. And I would suggest that we don't have so much to fear about those who are outside the faith as we do from those who claim to be religious but do not have the fruit of the Spirit in them. And especially in this case, joy. Joy makes all the difference.